Hello and welcome to the channel. It is disappointing that presidents are now using social media as a means of discussing diplomatic matters. First, we saw President Kagame of Rwanda responding to Cyril Ramaphosa on social media, and here we have Trump now commenting on something that is so sensitive that it affects the economy of South Africa on social media, which sent the rand tumbling today on the 3rd of February. Let's take a look at what Trump had to say about South Africa's land reform. And now Cyril Ramaphosa, that is the president of South Africa, has responded, explaining to the slow learners at the back, don't take it personally, it's the system. Let's talk about it down below, and also please give this video a thumbs up as we unpack further.
Why South Africa?
It's only South Africa. Terrible things are happening in South Africa. The leadership is doing some terrible things, horrible things. So that's under investigation right now. We'll make a determination, and until such time as we find out what South Africa is doing, they're taking away land, they're confiscating land, and actually they're doing things that are perhaps far worse than that.
Guys, the fact that our presidents are using social media as a platform to discuss diplomatic issues is very concerning, especially with the amount of trolls and misinformation propaganda that can be found on those places. Really? So now we're having Donald Trump coming out on social media discussing such important issues that are affecting the South African economy badly, as he says, because the rand has gone tumbling down at the announcement made by Donald Trump to then clamp down on funding towards South Africa and any aid. Let's talk about what exactly happened. We also saw Kagame using social media to lash out at the president of South Africa because of the DRC conflict and South Africa playing the peacemaker role. Here we are now, because some people are saying it is because of what South Africa is doing, playing the peacemaker role again between Israel and Palestine. So in a response from a journalist in the USA, President Trump responded about a question where he was asked, why is he cutting off funding to African nations? And then Trump went on to say, no, not all African nations, just that South Africa, because they are treating certain classes of people very badly. That's what he says. But let's take a look at the rest of the tweet. I've put his video here so that you can hear him explain his point of view, which may be leaving a room for hope in there, because he says that he will be investigating further. But let's look at what he went on to further tweet. This is what he says. I'll put it here on screen. South Africa is confiscating land and treating certain classes of people very badly, in big letters, by the way. It is a bad situation. But let's continue reading. It is a bad situation that the radical left media doesn't want to so much as mention. Really? A massive human rights violation at a minimum is happening for all to see. The United States won't stand for it. We will act. Also, I will be cutting off all future funding to South Africa until a full investigation of this situation has been completed. Yep, that was Trump. That was on the 2nd of February. And it landed in South Africa on the 3rd of February as we woke up to this news. Yeah, and unfortunately for us, Cyril Ramaphosa swiftly also responded. I hope he did use other means of communication, not just Twitter. But on Twitter, Cyril Ramaphosa posted this. I have a piece of his clip of his response here on screen, but I won't put the rest of it because it's quite lengthy. So I'll go ahead and read it, and you can go check it out on his Twitter page, which is at Cyril Ramaphosa. That's his Twitter handle. So it goes like this, South Africans. South Africa is a constitutional democracy that is deeply rooted in the rule of law, justice, and equality. The South African government has not confiscated any land. That is Cyril Ramaphosa's first paragraph, and this is the second paragraph. The recent adopted Expropriation Act is not a confiscation instrument, but a constitutional mandated legal process that ensures public access to land in an equitable and just manner as guided by the Constitution. Paragraph 2. He goes on to say, South Africa, like the United States of America and other countries, has always had expropriation laws that balance the need for public usage of land and the protection of rights of property owners. Say what? Okay, let's continue. We look forward to engaging with Donald Trump administration over our land reform policy and issues of bilateral interest. We are certain that out of those engagements, we will share a better and common understanding over these issues. Then this is the last paragraph. The US remains a key strategic, political, and trade partner for South Africa, with the exception of PEPFAR aid, which constitutes of 17% of South Africa's HIV and AIDS program. There is no other funding that is received by South Africa from the US. Guys, not Cyril Ramaphosa telling them, look, you're not closing any tabs because you're only giving us PEPFAR. But I think he went and forgot about AGOA. Now, AGOA is a trade agreement that allows South Africa to trade with the USA at a 0% tariff. So I think he forgot about that one. It also benefits other African countries to trade with the US, which helps South African farmers a lot, even our products, our cars, and other items that we produce benefits from the AGOA agreement with the USA. But it is it is interesting how catty he became at the end. But what is also interesting in Cyril Ramaphosa's response, he's not putting in that political element that he put out when he was talking to us. So he is now exposing what the real expropriation is here, that he is not doing this to return land that was caused by people being moved from certain areas during apartheid to other areas, and also those laws that were specifically aimed at Black, white, and Indian South Africans that restricted them from owning any land. Therefore, they were then dispossessed of that land or any farm, right? So he is not even considering that. So it just goes to show that the EFF and all those who called this land expropriation bill a fake move in the right direction to be true. And the fact that Helen Zille and the DA didn't fight it that much was very telling.
So the president that many black people have called a sellout, while some white people have been looking at him with caution, people like Rob Hertzhoff, and they began to hate him because they thought that he was boiling the frog slowly so that the frog can get to boiling point without knowing that it's being cooked. He has struck with a very strategic move that he and the ANC have made. They have made it possible to expropriate significant amounts of land without compensation. The ANC was very smart in the aspect that they did not want to go the Zimbabwe route, did not want to be isolated, did not want to be sanctioned. So they decided to be strategic about how it is they're going to take land without compensation. How? First of all, they did a land audit. And when they did a land audit, they discovered that 79% of the land is in private hands. After that, they also discovered that 14% of that land is government land. Then they discovered that there's another 7% or 7.7 million hectares of land that is not registered. With that, they know that among the private properties of land parcels in South Africa are lands that were given to white South Africans in particular after apartheid by the apartheid government so that white people would have property while black people don't. Many of the white people worked for parastatals and government departments, but they did not pay for that land. This is why the process of determining the value of the land will look at how that land was acquired since 1913. They will see who paid for land, did they pay market value for the land, and did they get state subsidy in order to own that land. They also know that it's not only land that is being taken here with this expropriation, they've also looked at houses. Many white people got houses, buildings, some stole them once the apartheid government fell apart. And this is what the ANC is going to expropriate without compensation or paying the people a fair value compared to what they paid, because most of these people either didn't pay anything or they did not pay market value.
Well, we'll see about that. Now let's talk commentary, guys. You've seen the rest of the commentary about this issue. As you'll see here, I'll put on the screen some of the white South Africans celebrating that Trump has come and rescued them. Obviously, the person who has been fingered to have had the most influence rather is Elon Musk, because Elon Musk, as you know, is originally a South African who then moved to Canada and then moved to the USA to further his studies, and he went on and got involved in Apple, and the rest is history. He is now a citizen of the USA. Now, so anybody who is against this bill is an apartheid apologist. Even Trump right now is in the risk of being labeled an apartheid apologist, which apartheid was strictly, which was referred to as a crime to humanity. So that one is clear, clear. And the part about land, as we have said, it affects all South Africans. It does not target any white people. And first and second of all, even in apartheid, in order to provide for their citizens, they had laws that specifically targeted certain areas of the economy, such as the Land Act of 19 as you can see here on the screen, the different acts that were put in by the apartheid law. We're not talking about the Jan van Riebeeck and all of that. We are talking about the acts and how they affected those that were citizens of South Africa, particularly the Black, the Indian, and the colored nations. All right, guys, let's talk about it down below. Please give this video a thumbs up, and I will see you on the next video.